Hello, hello, and welcome to Fine, I'll Talk About It, the podcast where we say the quiet parts out loud. Real, unfiltered talk that's straight to the point and no fake positivity. I'm your host, Danielle Young, and today I'm joined by Beth Chisholm. Beth is an energy coach who helps clients regulate their nervous systems, release emotional blocks, and reconnect with inner clarity using EFT, Biofield tuning, and intuitive trauma-informed support. On today's episode, we are discussing the transformative power of energy work and healing modalities such as biofield tuning and EFT in overcoming trauma, rebuilding hope, and moving beyond a victim mindset. Beth, welcome to Fine, I'll Talk About It.
Hello, Danielle. Thanks for inviting me on. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you. It is an honor for you to be here today as well. I am so happy that you have joined us, and you and I have similar work as we really try to help women get out of a victim mindset. So why don't we start with you just telling us a little bit about you, your background, how you got started, and how you got into the work that you do.
Did not set out to be building a business. I had thought I was a stay-at-home mom most of my life, loved my job. I thought I had the best job in the world, but you eventually work yourself out of it because they go build their own lives. What? How did that happen? And they don't need you in the same ways. And my husband kept asking the annoying question. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? And I had spent 15 years in the school system volunteering. And I love volunteering in the school system. And where I eventually landed was junior high. And I loved junior high. It was one of my favorite places. So I stayed there for 6 years. I didn't get passed or promoted out. I just stayed. I loved it. And one of my favorite things about junior high was running a breakfast club. 3 mornings a week, we fed between 30 and 40 kids a healthy breakfast. But not only it wasn't passive. They got involved. They were allowed to volunteer, to cook, to clean up. I had community members come in. I found sponsors. If you sponsored, you got to come in and be a celebrity chef and see it in action. It was a thriving, amazing place of support and learning and mentoring. I became friends with the principal. And she uncovered in me, gifts I didn't even really know that I had. I was a stay-at-home mom, and they do not get a lot of credit or support. Nobody cheers when you bring dinner to the table. Just not a thing.
Yeah.
She gave me a forum to play, to grow, for ideas. I would go to her and say, oh, I have an idea. And she would smile and say, what now, Mrs. Chisholm? And when she was leaving her husband, she said to me one morning, I won't be in tomorrow. And I was being a smart aleck. I'm like, account for yourself. Where are you going to be, Missy? And up until that point, I didn't know. And she said, I'm leaving my husband. I'm moving tomorrow. None of her friends could help because they were teachers. And I'm like, do you want help? So I helped her that day, and that was the Wednesday. And then the Saturday, we went back to get more stuff. Trigger warning, friends. This is a domestic situation that went horribly wrong. He was supportive. He was bringing her boxes. He was, until he wasn't. He was waiting for her as she opened the door, and we were bent over to try and catch the dog because he arranged the exact time that she would be there to let the dog out. All she had time to say was, oh, David, bang. I never saw the gun because she was taller than me. I saw him, but not the gun. And now my friend is laying at my feet. And I'm in Canada. We have very strict gun laws. You cannot just go buy a gun here. So in my world, which was full of unicorns and rainbows, this wasn't a thing. And a voice spoke and said, you should run. You need help. So I turned and exited the garage. And as I did, there was a second shot. I didn't know if it was at me or her. Turns out it was at her. He put 3 bullets in her to make sure she was dead. I got to the first house, and had their door been open, I'd have been in. It wasn't. I got to the next house, and the voice spoke again and said, you got a cell phone. You should call for help. I'm like, that's such a good idea. I'm having this conversation with this voice. So I did. And what began that day was a desperate search for relief. Relief from the anxiety, relief from the fear, relief from the trauma. And because it was in a school situation, it was so high profile. I could not process my stuff in normal, seems like the wrong word, but in a quiet, private way because everybody was watching me. And they would say, God bless them, they would say things like, if you're okay, Mrs. Chisholm, we'll be okay. I wanted to
Oh,
scream. I'm not okay. But you can't
yeah.
because we're all flailing. There was a school of about 600 people. 6 weeks later, the vice principal died of sudden heart failure. No explanation. There was never one given. It made no sense. 6 months later, a student died also of heart failure. It was later found that she had a congenital defect that could only be found on autopsy. So to say that we were flailing as a community was an understatement. Fast forward, I did talk therapy for 3 years. I tried everything. You name it, I tried it. It didn't work.
Yeah.
I was taking a coaching course, and one of the facilitators happened to say, I've discovered tapping, and it really helps with my anxiety. I'm like, oh, please tell me more. Because I tried everything, all of the traditional stuff, except for pharmaceuticals. My body doesn't like pharmaceuticals, so I didn't do that. But I tried a lot of things and nothing really worked. It gave a little bit of relief, but not enough to be able to be back to normal, in quotation marks. And so I was life coaching a friend, and I said, she was off work. She was depressed and anxious. I said, do you want to try this? A little weird. She's like, why? Yes, I do. So I downloaded a book from the tapping solution or EFT. I don't even remember anymore. And I began tapping with her, and she had such phenomenal results. Very shortly, she was out of bed and back to work. I'm like, okay, there's something here. So I went and got certified in level 1 and 2. And since I'm an advanced practitioner. And then I discovered tuning forks. And oh my gosh, I fell in love with sound healing. And so now my sessions are often a combination of sound and EFT and energy practices, all what is in the greatest and highest good of my clients. And I have seen transformations that just take your breath away. And mine is one of them. I can tell you all the details of that shooting of the day that you'd want to know. I'm not triggered. I'm not freaking out. I'm not anxious because of the hard work. And it's hard. I won't lie to people. This stuff, big T traumas, can be hard, but golly, it's so worth it to get to the other side, to be able to share my story, to inspire others and give them hope that they don't have to stay where they are, that there is a path forward. And I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. We've both been there.
Yes.
Big T traumas if I was the recipient of domestic violence and
I'm
you
so sorry.
witnessed it. So first, did they ever catch the guy? Like
Yes. So he closed the garage door and I had the police on the phone by that point. And he called his son and said, you should come. I've just shot your mother. He was a piece of work. And by that point, within about half an hour, well, no, within about 10 minutes, there were police everywhere and SWAT came in, hostage negotiators, because they go on the assumption that there's life until they know there's not. And when the negotiator got there, they said, David, come out. We can help you. That was his name. And he opened the door and he said, are you going to shoot me if I come out? And they're like, no, David, come out. We can help you. And he sat down on the garage floor and committed suicide. To which when they came to tell me, I'm like, good. A, because what he did to my friend. And B, because I knew if he was still alive, the rest of my life or his would be wrapped up in his mess and court case. Yes.
I mean, to have that as an add-on to the trauma and then try to process that as well and, to heal while that's still kind of hanging out there. Yeah, that's not fun. Yeah, I had to do that as well. So no, I know firsthand how that is just awful.
It is.
Yeah. So let's talk about I had this great question and I just lost it.
It will come back.
I hate
I
it
will
when I
tell you
do.
that once I learned about EFT, that was the gateway. That was like my gateway drug. And I set out to learn absolutely everything I could under the umbrella of energy psychology. And I have taken trauma courses. I have studied and read and learned everything for the most important reason to keep my clients safe as they process what they bring to the table. And so often what happens is, People haven't had a space to be able to speak their truth. And that's one of the beauties of EFT. We focus on the negative. And people say, why do you focus on the negative? Be positive. And I'm like,
Mm,
no, that's bypassing. That is
mhm.
bypassing what happened to you. So we need to sit, I call it sit in the suck. We need to sit in this so that we can speak your truth, process what happened, and then move forward.
Yeah, I call it embrace the suck. I think that's
That's
actually a
good.
military term. I think it comes from the Army or the Marines, one of the two. I've heard it and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because you do. You have to sit in the uncomfortable of it all. And if
Yes.
you don't, you won't move forward. And I think that's the hardest thing to get across to people is number one, healing is not linear. You're always going to have ups and downs. It's always going to be like hard days, good days.
Yeah.
It's this roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And staying in that victim mindset is so not good for your body and
No.
for your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So many things happen. So many things like disease will manifest in your body if you stay in that victim mindset. It's because
Absolutely.
everything is energy
Yep.
and people don't understand that. So
No.
make us understand it, Beth.
If you stay in the victim mindset, you are always waiting for someone to rescue you. The beautiful thing about energy work is you can rescue yourself. One of the many beautiful aspects of EFT is you can do it on yourself. Not big T traumas. Don't do the big stuff. I tried. It's a bad idea. But the little things. I had a fight with my son. I am so mad at him. I am so mad at him. You process the fight and the mad located in your body, and you can get to the place of, he didn't eat all day. He had a fight with his girlfriend. So no wonder we couldn't have a good conversation. You can get to the place of understanding and compassion. But first, you got to process the I'm so mad. So the empowering piece of energy work is that you can do a lot of it on your own. And it just changes everything. I'm not a victim anymore because I can process stuff. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I love EFT. I do it on myself as well. Now, I'm not certified in it, not yet, but I do it on myself. And, it's even just simply tapping like your collarbone, like right here.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'll do that if I notice that I am just spinning out with anxiety. Like I was cooking last night and I just all of a sudden got this flood of anxiety and I'm like, oh, what's this about?
Yeah.
And just started tapping my collarbone. Okay, okay, I'm safe. I'm safe. And it was like, okay. But I've done it enough to where my body recognizes, like, oh, this is what we're doing now. Okay. But I think for
Yes.
people who have just come out of trauma, like, what do you notice as far as when people are just coming out versus when they're doing it for a while? Does it really vary?
It does because
Okay.
we're all so unique. But one of the biggest things I notice is your bandwidth for handling things. So
Mm,
when you've got a lot of stuff in your window, so you have a window, we call it the window of tolerance, and you've
tolerance. Yeah.
stuffed everything in there your whole life until one day it is so full it explodes. And you either get help or you get out of your situation or whatever. But it's messy because now you've exploded and splashed all over everyone. But what if we could look at those pieces and say, oh, that time when I was a kid and the teacher called me stupid. What if we could take all of those events, process them, or not even all of them? Because the cool thing about EFT is that if there are similar themed events, if you collapse a couple, it collapses them all because your brain files them in the same place. So you don't have to look at absolutely everything that ever happened to you. You just look at the similar things and you can begin to collapse it all. So your resilience begins to grow as you process what happened to you that you've been stuffing down because we are told as a society, it's not a big deal. Get over it. Move past it. Think
Suck it up.
past it. Suck it up, buttercup. Big boys
Yep.
don't cry. All of that. But if we can truly look at it and resolve those things and what needs resolving, then we can get to the place where we have room for stuff. That if our son comes home and he's coming unglued, we can give him the space to do it with the boundaries of, you can't talk to me like that, but give him the space to do it. And we're not triggered. We're not freaking out because now we have bandwidth and resilience to be able to handle things that come our way.
Yeah. It's super important. to, you have to regulate yourself before you can really handle anyone
Absolutely.
else because things are going to trigger you. I mean, that's
Mhm.
life,
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
the fastest, and I hate to use that term, but it, for lack of a better word, you heal yourself or you start healing yourself, you'll be able
Yeah.
to deal with those triggers because, like you said, it's the little things. You don't have to go back to when you were 3 years old and something horrible happened to you. It's just like, oh my God, I'm feeling so angry right now. Why?
Mhm. And
And
you
then just start
go
tapping on
back.
it.
You may wanna go back to that 3-year-old and do some work with her, inner child work. You may want to, you may feel called to, but it's all client-led. That's the thing I like, the other empowering piece. Sessions are client-led. You get to decide the memories we look at, if we look at memories, the work that we do, you get to decide what we do, which is so empowering as opposed to talk therapy, which deals with your prefrontal cortex. This part of your brain that thinks it's in charge. So when we say, "This year, I'm going to lose weight. I am not going to eat those cookies." And your subconscious laughs at just like that. Your subconscious
That's
laughs
why I'm
at
laughing.
this and says, "Yes, you are."
Hmm.
And then you get to the end of the night and you've eaten the whole bag. Forget a cookie. You've eaten the whole thing. And your subconscious is like, "I told you so." And some of the reasons, because you decided here, not tapping into the subconscious and the reasons why you're eating those cookies. Sugar does what it does. It releases endorphins. It makes us feel better. You can be running a pattern. You ate cookies with your grandma and your grandma's gone and it's your last connection. So that cookie is the emotional connection. Like there can be a lot of reasons why you're eating that cookie, that bag of cookies. But once we tap into intended and see the program that you're running, your life can literally change. People use that saying all the time. It's life changing. No, no, that's a cookie. This is truly life changing. And one of the reasons I just signed up to become a trainer for EFT, I'm going to teach people how to do it. I'm working on that. That's my goal this year. Yes, Danielle, you want to stay connected?
Yeah,
Um,
I
yes,
I do want to get certified. That's my next move.
there we go. One of the reasons why I really wanted to get certified to teach people how to do it is for the ripple effect. So we're limited in how many clients we can see a week. Let's say 15 a week.
Yeah.
But if I train 5 people, what's 5 times 15? 75, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
75. Math is not always my strong suit. But then there's more people out in the world giving people the gift of hope and freedom.
Yeah. And I've had these conversations with a lot of people. If we just start spreading more kindness and tools, the tools that people can turn to when they start to feel that ick come up, if we can just stop it in its tracks, like right then and there, like think about what an awesome place this world would be.
Hmm.
We wouldn't be dealing with what we're dealing with now. This is
Yeah.
January of 2026 for anybody who,
Right?
we would have I feel like we would have much better connection with each other
Yeah.
because we wouldn't all be so triggered and offended by everything that's out there,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, I was in Costco one day and this guy came unglued spectacularly. I've never seen anything like it in public. He went from laughing and talking to the cashier to going off like a bottle rocket. Like they were didn't have to call the cops on him. They had to escort him out. They revoked his membership and all because he thought somebody cut him off, a perceived. And the guy who cut him off backed off and said, "No, no, it's okay. You go ahead." And that didn't matter. This guy just went off. And I kept looking at him thinking, what happened to you? What
Yeah.
unresolved issues did that trigger? Did that tap into that set you off like that?
Yep.
And I wanted to hand him a card, but he was far too angry to hand him anything. We're all just backing off for our safety because he was so mad. But you're
Yeah.
right. If we could resolve the things that are driving us, and some of the things that drive us are even inherited traumas, generational beliefs,
Yeah.
the things that came home with the World War I veterans that were handed down because he didn't talk about it. Were two veterans who came back and all that trauma that was unresolved. We don't talk about it. And now we're dealing with a bunch of that in our nervous systems, in our very genes, and in our energy field. What if we could resolve that so we're not carrying grandma's baggage? Whatever.
Right?
Wouldn't that be amazing? It's
Yeah.
truly phenomenal work,
Yeah. I feel like I'm carrying baggage from like 4 generations.
for
And
sure.
I finally
Yeah.
said, I'm done with this, cycle breaker right here.
You go,
And
girl.
I just said, this is dumb. Why do we keep carrying this forward? It
Because
doesn't make sense. You know,
because we
heal.
don't know. We don't know how.
Yeah,
We've never known
that's
how.
very true.
EFT has been out there since the early 90s. It was developed originally as thought field therapy by a therapist who had a client who was afraid of the water. Like she couldn't shower, like it was really bad. And he was studying the Chinese meridian system. And she goes, "Oh, Dr. Callahan, my stomach hurts." And he goes, "Tap here. The stomach meridians begin here." She did that. And instantly the water phobia was gone. And years of talk therapy hadn't touched it. She ran out and the accounts differ, like to his pool in the backyard, to the fountain in the, I don't know what it is. She ran to water and she was instantly healed. So he developed a system where if it's water 10 times here, 4 times here, it was very complicated. A man named Gary Craig, who's just passed on here last week, trained with him and said, it's got to be a simpler way. He was a Stanford trained engineer and he came up with the basic EFT protocol and was having phenomenal results. He just did the same points every time with the people, and people were being healed, phobias were being released, traumas were being resolved, and he gifted it to the world. He didn't patent it, he didn't control it, he let everyone have it. That was in the 90s. What happened? What took so long? And what is still taking so long? Well, A, it seems too good to be true. You telling
Yeah.
me I tap on my face while stating my problem, something's going to happen? Yeah, I can't. It seems too simple. It's just plain weird. Like you look at it and think, seriously? And up until the last 10 years, we didn't have a lot of research. And we're currently in a scientific age where if you can't see it, touch it, feel it, it's not um, it's not significant. We're
Hmm.
shifting from the scientific model into more of an intuitive model, but that's taking time. Now we literally have hundreds of peer-reviewed double-blind studies, even meta studies saying, yeah, this works. We can replicate it. We can show you that it works. And that's still not enough. We have applied, EFT International has applied twice to have EFT listed as a modality, and twice they've said, no,
Because
no.
who profits off of it,
Well, that's a fine question, Danielle. Who profits off of it? Yes, they can't. Yeah,
right? If the pharmaceutical companies can't make money off of it, then it must not be real.
exactly.
You heard
The
it
other cool
here.
Yes. The other cool thing about EFTI is the things that we shift and release are permanent. Dr. Petta Stapleton out of Bond University in Australia has done 2-year follow-ups. She originally started as food addictions and she has followed up with her participants up to 2 years. They finally got tired of hearing from her and the results of things that have changed have not undone. So it's permanent. Whatever we're going to change is permanent. It's going to last. You're not going to have to worry. Is that snake phobia going to come back? No, no, it's
No,
not. No.
no, no. And I mean, I feel like our entire lives we have been sold this bag of goods that's like you have, and there is a time and a place for medication. Trust
Oh,
me.
yeah, for sure.
Like it is very, very helpful. But some of this stuff you don't need medication for.
Yeah.
It's just a simple, these holistic methods. And we have been told over and over and over again that they're junk science, that they
Hmm.
don't work, but things are scientifically proven.
Yes. And
But
it's
we
still not good enough.
ignore the science. Yeah. And it's so sad that people do not have access to this stuff because the powers that be don't believe it, or they can't make
Right.
money off of it, or, they
Hmm.
can't do something with it that benefits them.
Yeah.
And so many people are suffering because of it.
When you've
It's so
relegated
heartbreaking.
humanity to a chemical being, and yes, I am a chemical being, so there's a part for chemicals to play. I have an infection, give me antibiotics,
Right.
right?
Yep.
But what if there's more to us than just a chemical being? We're energetic, we're spiritual, we're all of those other parts that
Yeah.
we ignore to our detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know if you would have told any of my grandparents, for example, like, "Oh, just tap here and it'll get rid of your stomach ache." Well, they would have looked at me like I had 3
Yeah.
heads.
Yep.
Like, that's not possible. Take a Tums and or Pepto and be over it, you know?
Yeah.
That's the way that they were raised, that's the way the generation was raised because we were always told this, you know?
Mhm.
Just take
Well,
something.
and our grandparents were the generation where marvels of science were just emerging. That's when penicillin was developed. That's where heart meds were developed. That's where polio and diphtheria and stuff were the vaccines came, and so no longer were the iron lungs and things like that. So
Yeah,
for them, they were marvels and miracles. Yes. But any strength taken to an extreme, that's one of my favorite coaching sayings, any strength taken to an extreme becomes a weakness. So we've taken the strength of science to an extreme, and now it's become a weakness because we have superbugs that don't respond to antibiotics because everybody got antibiotics.
right.
So yes,
Yeah. I know
that's
my son
yeah,
had a sinus infection and they were like, "If he hasn't had it for at least 10 days, then we can't give him antibiotics." And I'm like, "Well, if he's had it for 10 days, he doesn't need antibiotics." Like, it's just about, like, it's either going to get worse or it's going to get better. Like, what's the point of that? But yeah, they don't want kids to become resistant to antibiotics because so many people have.
yes, yep, for
And
sure.
I thought, wow, my kid is going to suffer for 10 days
Yeah,
because
because
of
of what
this?
has happened and what they've allowed to happen. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
so sad. It does. It's really heartbreaking to me that so many people are just suffering.
Yeah, and that's always my question to people. What if there was a different way forward? What
Yeah.
if there was a different way to look at it? The Chinese have known for 5,000 years about meridians and about healing. I'd like to go back and ask how they figured this out.
Yeah.
Like, did they just randomly begin to put needles places to see what would happen? I'm I would love to know, but we don't. They've known for 5,000 years about the meridian systems that flow through our bodies and where the points are, the energy points, that if you apply pressure or you apply a needle, something shifts and changes. They've known, but we have looked at the East and said, oh, that's voodoo. That's woo
Yeah.
woo, and we've discounted it. We've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. But what if we could look at it and say, maybe there's a part here that could do something? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just get really curious with my clients. I've got a woman who was originally diagnosed with borderline personality, and I said, "Do you want to work together?" I don't know anything about that, but you want to work together? And she thought I was crazy. Woo woo, it's not going to work for me. She was having multiple panic attacks a day. She couldn't leave the house. She couldn't make phone calls. She didn't have a life. Now
Yeah.
she's getting trained as an EFT practitioner because of how it transformed her life.
Yeah.
She is a totally different person. No panic attacks, no anxiety, other than the normal, "Oh, I'm a little anxious because I gotta do this really big thing." The goal of EFT is not to eliminate emotions. That's kind of a misnomer. Emotional freedom technique. What it's supposed to do is to eliminate the debilitating emotions. So I'm feeling anxious because I got to go take a test at the DMV. I'm anxious. You're supposed to be anxious. When
Right.
the anxiety gets to the point that you can't get out of the car to go and take the test, that's the problem. We need emotions. They're good for us. They're messages. They tell us stuff. It's
Mhm.
any strength taken to an extreme, then becomes a debilitating weakness. So now she has a life that she only could dream of before and is now going to become a therapist to change other people's lives.
That's so awesome. Good for her. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
And
absolutely amazing.
I mean, and someone with borderline with BPD, I mean, that's a tough one to work with.
And I didn't work with the BPD. I'm not, I can't diagnose. I can't do any of that. All I did
Right.
was work with the underlying traumas and the events that had happened in her past that were driving the diagnosis. And now I think if she could get in to see a psychotherapist, because that's so hard these days, you can't. And even if you can, you can't afford it. If she was to go, I don't know that she would even meet the criteria for that anymore
Well,
because but we never dealt. We never addressed the BPD. We didn't do any of that. We just looked at the
right.
stuff underneath.
Yeah, I wonder. That was my question. I wonder if she would go back if she wouldn't even be diagnosed with that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Is
know.
she
It
taking
just makes
medication for it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I'm just
I
curious.
I generally maybe I generally don't dig too deep on some of that stuff because it's way outside of
Okay.
my wheelhouse and I don't wanna get into trouble. I'm
Right.
not allowed to comment on meds and stuff, but, yeah, I don't know that she'd even meet the criteria for it. It's like Dawson Church out of the US has done work with veterans, and up until EFT, there really has been no treatment for complex PTSD or PTSD within the veteran community, except
Yep.
self-medication or drugs. And they would just struggle the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And he's done some studies with them where he measures the cortisol in their spit, and one tapping session, it's down by over 50%, the cortisol levels. And then after the program was done, they no longer met the criteria for PTSD. They finally had their lives back.
Now, why isn't this part of any veterans program?
Depends on the state and the area you're in. Some of them have integrated it in. It depends on the person driving the boat, right?
Yeah.
If they see energy work as woo-woo, then you have no hope of getting it in. They just aren't open-minded enough, their own stuff. But if the person is willing to do the reading behind the research, then you can get in. There are some veterans places that have brought it in, but again, it's up to the person driving the boat.
Yeah. I know here in the States, they don't do anything like that. I could be wrong, but I know when my grandpa was looking to get benefits, no, it wasn't like part of treatment. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's
it's
just like
like I said, it's sad. People are suffering and they're it needlessly, they
none of
don't.
my stuff is covered by insurance programs because
No.
I'm not a therapist. I'm not, and I don't want to be a therapist because if I'm a therapist, then I'm governed by their rules and their.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, thank you. You're going to say no, I can't run a sound session because it doesn't fit in with your rigid box? No, I'll pass.
Yeah.
And the people that come to me, we find a way to make it work. I offer group sessions on and off, and the group sessions are reasonable, and I do usually group tuning sessions, and you get quite a bit of relief from the group tuning session. They have been profound for many people.
So let's talk about biofield tuning. Not a lot of people know what that is. I love biofield tuning. I didn't believe it. I was so skeptical the first time that I ever went for a session. My naturopath was like, "You should do this." And I'm like, "I don't even know what this is." And she explained it to me and she's like, "I can't really explain it to you because I don't practice it, but she's like, I've had a session, I have my kids have sessions. It's just do it. It's
Yeah.
amazing." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take your word for it." And I signed up for one and I'm like, "Ooh,
Yes, it is phenomenal. I was speaking at an EFT conference and there was a woman there doing a biofield tuning session. I said, "Will you do one for me?" Sure. I didn't know she was doing it to get certified, and I had a profound shift.
yeah,
And I said to her at the beginning, "Do you want to know what I want you to work on?" She goes, "Don't tell me." She did the one side of my body and she's on the other side. And she goes, "What are you noticing?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my cheeks are on fire." And she said, "My stomach hurts." And when we tune people, sometimes we take on the thing it is that is bothering them. Not always, but sometimes. Like sometimes my throat tightens up because I'm like, "Oh, you haven't found your voice yet, have you?" That kind of thing. And yeah. And I said, "That's what I wanted you to fix. My stomach is always a problem." And after that, my stomach was better than it had been in years. So I'm like, okay, I got to go add this. So biofield tuning works on the premise that everything that has ever happened to us is stored in our energy field around us, which is about 6 feet across, like a great big bubble. And we know that it's about 6 feet across because if I had the right machine, I could measure your heartbeat from about 6 feet away. So in biofield tuning, all the events of your life are stored in there like the rings of a tree. At the very edge is your birth and conception story. What was it like when your mom was carrying you? What kind of stress was she under? Maybe it was a rape and you were conceived under really difficult circumstances. The forks just find it. On the far side of your birth and conception story is your ancestral story. On the left side is your mother's, the right side is your father's. And we can do ancestral work and release what has happened in there. And then as we progress through the field, the forks just find stuff. You hit stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, something's there. And I've always, and I don't even, most of the time, sometimes they don't have a memory, but I'll hit something and go, "Did something happen around 23?" And one client was like, "Yeah, that's when I got fired." First time I ever got fired, it was so awful. Hello, there it is. So it's based off of the chakra system. So we work with the knees, the feet, the knees, the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And I use a pendulum to tell me where your body wants attention. So, fun fact, I am exclusively an online practitioner. So, Danielle, I could invite your hologram onto my table. You can sort of see my table back there. I invite your hologram onto my table, and I use my pendulum to figure out what chakra needs attention. Your system tells me, I'm not clever. I don't figure this out. Your system tells me, and then which side I'm going to work on. And people have incredible results. Biofield tuning is especially helpful for men who don't want to talk about their feelings. I don't want to talk about anything. Just do it. And for children who don't have the vocabulary or the words to be able to express what they're feeling. I've tuned my grandson since he was 18 months old. And when I was first learning it, and I had my first fork, I was so excited. He's sleeping, and I hit his field, and I'm like, I want to cry. Why do you want to
Aw.
cry, little man? I don't know what's going. And I didn't know what to do with it. I do now, but I hit his field one time. I was tuning. I'm like, you're really mad at your dad. I just know what's going on, and sometimes the information just kind of drops in, and you ask the question, like, is this true? Does this ring for you? And one woman burst into tears, and she's like, yeah, that happened. It's just a beautiful technique that literally changes lives. I tuned a dog one time, and I invited her onto my table. I'm like, you're here. I can smell wet dog. And I don't have a dog. So I knew it was her. And it wasn't anything in our house. I'm like, well, welcome, darling. I can smell you.
Aw. That's
Yeah.
so cool that you can do that. I wondered how you could do it virtually because I've only ever gone in person.
Well, if you wanted to experience, let me know, Danielle. It works equally as well. In fact,
Yeah.
it may even work better because you're in what I hope is a safe space when you're calling me. We do it by video call so we can interact. I can do it without you present. Not my favorite way to do it. I prefer to have you present so we can interact back and forth. So we do it where I hope you're in a safe space, your home, your office, whatever feels right. You don't have to drive anywhere. So afterwards, when you're feeling really mellow and tired, you don't have to drive anywhere. I have to be worried about you. And you can just feel free to process whatever you need to process and then go to bed if you can.
That's awesome.
So I feel it works even better than in-person stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I was always curious about how that works because my practitioner does it remote too, and I'm like, oh, I don't
Hmm.
know how that works. That's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
and it
I
works
get
really
it.
well.
Yeah. No, when she was doing mine the first time, because I thought, oh, I get to lay down. Cool. She's like, yeah, just relax, lay down. You can, lay however you want. I was like, sweet. I get to take a nap. And I'm laying there and, and I love the tuning forks. That's one of my favorite things is just
Yeah.
to hear it. I'm like, oh, thank you. And, she's doing her thing and she's like, do you feel that? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I feel this tingling on my legs. Like, what is that about? And she's like, "You're holding something." And she was like, "When you were this old, did this happen to you?" And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
I'm like, "My legs are tingling because of that."
Yeah. So the main fork we use is the workhorse that we comb through your energy field. And when it hits something called a perturbation is the official word, which is just stuck energy. We use various different forks to release that stuck energy. And then we integrate what we've released into the chakra we're working on. And your chakra knows to keep what is only for your highest and best good and to release the rest out into the universe. But yeah, it hits it and then goes, hey, there's something here.
Yeah, that is the coolest thing ever. I mean, I think everybody should have a session done. And I mean, they're not cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
they can be pretty pricey. Here in the States anyway, they're kind of pricey.
It's an investment in you
Yeah.
and in your emotional self and your physical self. Because as I said, once I had that session, my stomach was better than it ever was. It changed things for me physically because the gut is a really common place to put things. That gut feeling, you get afraid, your gut tenses. It's why gastrointestinal drugs are one of the number one prescribed drugs in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we store stuff in our gut. What if we could release that stuff and then didn't need the drugs? What if?
Yeah. What if?
Yeah, what if?
You're replacing holistic modalities with what you pay on medication.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you don't have a lot of chemicals pumping through your body, so you're not gonna become resistant to anything,
No, you're
you
not
know?
overloading your liver, your kidneys, any of that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge difference in wellness. If we could look at wellness from a holistic point of view, as opposed to just the one trick pony, I think people would be a lot healthier and happier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, just given everything that we know now with science and different things that have come out, since even just 10 years ago,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
it used to be that energy was a part of wellness like 100 years ago or so. But then when we entered the scientific age, we replaced all of that with chemicals. Instead of saying to people, get out in the forest in your bare feet and get grounded,
Yeah.
we just gave them a pill for their anxiety.
Yeah. I always tell my kids, especially when they're just, you know, like feeling really, go touch grass. We have a tree in the yard. Go touch grass. Go put your feet in the pool. Get in touch with nature, with earth. Be grounded. It's the energy that you need. And
For sure.
people don't buy that. People think I'm crazy when I tell them go touch grass, go hug a tree. And it's like, no, it's nature. It's natural. It carries the energy of the earth, which is the energy that we carry. So when we're grounded, we are fully connected. And that sounds so woo-woo to people. And I'm sure somebody listening to this is like, oh my God, like this is so crazy.
It's
But
crazy women.
but those people who really are like skeptics about it, go try it.
Yeah. There's a
When you're
reason why the
spinning out,
Japanese,
go try it.
yeah, there's a reason why the Japanese have been doing nature bathing for years, for many, many years. You
Yeah.
want to try something, Danielle?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the 9 gamut technique?
No.
Okay. On the back of your hand
Does it matter which
is,
hand?
oh, it doesn't matter. You're going to find the ditch between your ring finger and your baby finger. There's a ditch there.
Mhm.
You can hold it, you can tap it, you can rub it. Doesn't matter. And it
Okay.
can be either hand. You're going to take the hand that you're rubbing, tapping, or holding and place it on your heart.
Okay.
And before we begin, I invite you to do a body scan, Danielle. I just want you to check in because all of these are somatic body techniques and our bodies speak to us. We've just ignored them or told them to shut up. We're not going to do that. I want you to do a body scan. I want you to start at the top of your head and go down through your body and just notice what's speaking to you today. Maybe your throat is tight. Maybe your shoulders are up too high. And when you find something, it's usually a when, not an if, I want you to rate it 0 to 10.
Okay. Okay. So do you want me to tell you where it is? Okay. My middle back, it's about a 5.
What does it feel like? What is it telling you?
So it's tense and tight. Like it's kind of pulling my, how do I describe that? It's like pulling around my front. So it's like radiating
Okay.
pain. Like everything just feels tight.
The reason we measure, so it's 5 out of 10, the reason we measure is so we can see progress. So I'm going to lead you through a series of movements. You're going to keep your hand on your heart and you're going to keep rubbing, tapping, pressing onto the gamut point. I want you to close your eyes and take a nourishing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, going as deep as is comfortable. We're going to do that 2 more times, just 2 more beautiful breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. So I want you to open your eyes and I want you to look. Don't move your head, only your eyes down to the right, back to center. I want you to look down to the left, back to center. I want you to roll your eyes clockwise, back to center. I want you to roll your eyes counterclockwise, back to center. I want you to hum for me. Row, row, row your boat. Hum, not sing. Lovely. I'd like you to count backwards from 10 to 0 by twos.
By twos. Oh, you're really testing
Yes.
me now. All right. So 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0,
2 times 2.
4,
3 times 1.
3,
5 times 1.
5.
And I'd like you to hum row, row, row your boat one more time. Now I want you to check in with that spot in your middle back and tell me, what are you noticing?
It's definitely not as tight, and there's like this cold there.
Okay. What number would you give it if you were to guess what the number might be?
Yeah, I don't really feel it as much anymore. I'd give it probably a 2. There's just a little bit left, but
Yeah. That's a neuroregulation technique. And what that does is it engages all parts of your brain. The math, the humming engages your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is called the wandering nerve, starts at one of the cranial nerves from your brain, all the way down through all of your organs responsible for fight or flight, plays a part there. When you hum, the movement of the vocal cords stimulate the vagus nerve to say, hey, we're okay, relax, calm down. That's one of my favorite neuroregulation techniques. If you're feeling anxious or stressed, pop on your favorite song and start humming. I love that one because literally, maybe you're in the grocery store, you don't want to be doing this, but there's usually music on. You can hum
Mhm.
along to whatever's playing anywhere, and nobody really thinks anything of it. Just start humming. The other thing you can do for neuroregulation is on the sides of your fingers, the same points that are here go down here. So if you're in a meeting and it's getting contentious, you can either, be rubbing your gamut point down below the screen, or you can be squeezing the sides of your fingers to do something similar. And there's a theory that people chew their nails because instinctively they're trying to get to the nail bed at the side for relief. Your subconscious knows and drives you to chew your nails to get relief. Is that the reason why? Maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know, but it's an interesting theory. But you can just be doing this. If I'm out and about, I can do this in my pockets with one hand. I just squeeze the sides of my fingers with my thumb. I go back and forth. I hide my, it's winter up here. You're in Phoenix, aren't you?
Yep.
It is really cold and we have a mountain of snow. So in my coat pocket, I've got my hands. If something's happening in the store, I can just be tapping. That way you're not doing this. There are a lot of, those are two of my favorite things to help bring you into um, neuroregulation. That's a really big term on the internet. Everybody's talking about neuroregulation just to calm your ass down.
Yeah.
It's the real thing.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of like I see a lot of hate on social media about using, nervous system regulation. It's like, oh, if one more person uses nervous system regulation, I'm going to scream. And it's like, well, then scream because it's the basis of healing.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to regulate your nervous system first. There's
Yeah.
no way around it.
Yeah, I forget the guy who invented it, but it's polyvagal theory, where he looked at the different layers of our nervous system and it a lot revolutionized therapy because we could look at people and say, where are you? Dorsal, vagal, sympathetic, parasympathetic, where are you? Right? And just to have the awareness, oh man, I'm up here. I'm activated. Well, once we know where we're at, maybe then we could do something about it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what I teach.
Right? Yes. I want to empower you. I don't want you to be my client for life. Be lovely if you want to keep coming back to talk to me. But what if we could resolve the thing that was bugging you? I worked with a woman for a couple of packages, and every time her toilet made a noise, she went ballistic. It was it had overflowed, it had backed up, there were problems, they were resolved, but any little noise from this toilet, she went nuts. And as we worked together, I just said to her, the toilet making noises is a surprise. Is there another time in your life when you were blindsided and surprised? And she said, I don't think this has anything to do with it. I love that.
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Tell me about it." And it was a time where she was blindsided by a former boyfriend. And sure enough, we resolved that event. The toilet didn't matter anymore. It's just a toilet.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
interesting to see things that trigger.
I love it because it's never the thing that you think it is.
Oh, it's never what we think it is. And I've stopped guessing. I'll say to people, is there a time in the past? And quite often it's bizarre. And you're like, really? And sure enough, you go there and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, that's just
Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. I do the same thing with self-inquiry and with my clients. It's like, yeah, it's not just about, it's never about, oh, well, they leave the cabinet doors open and it just makes me crazy. It's like, that's great. It's great that you recognize that, but there is something a
Yeah.
lot deeper, and it's not about the cabinets.
No, it has nothing to do with the cabinets. It
No.
has to do with what the cabinet is triggering in you.
Yep.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
thank you so much. I love that. What do you call it? The nine
The
point gamut?
9 the 9 gamut. If you go to my
Nine
website,
gamut.
kamayacoaching.com, and sign up for my newsletter, you'll be sent a video so that you can learn how to do it and doing it as often as you want. One of the many cool things about energy work is there's no downside. Really, there is no downside unless you're trying to process a really big T trauma. You can re-traumatize yourself, not a good thing.
Yeah.
But there's no downside to you doing the 9 gamut 5 times a day. No downside. There's no downside to you squeezing your fingers as you're driving along or as you're sitting at the red light going, oh, that car almost hit me. It could have killed me. To bring yourself back into calm and peace. There's no downside to any of this. So try it. Just give it
Yeah.
a try. Especially if you've tried everything else in life. Try one more thing.
Yeah. I tap in traffic.
Me
I'm sure
too.
people driving next to me are probably like, this lady is freaking crazy. Yeah, I'll be tapping in traffic because I hate the traffic here in Phoenix. It's so
Really?
awful.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. To go 7 miles takes 45 minutes. I mean, it's
Okay. Yeah.
terrible.
I thought mine was bad.
It's awful. And people are crazy here. People are crazy on the roads. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
every time I leave my house, I'm like putting my life at stake, it feels like. It's awful. So yeah, I'm tapping in traffic. I'm like, okay, and yeah, I'm sure people have seen me and they're like, okay, another weirdo living here in Phoenix.
He needs to go to the Red Rocks.
Yeah, your place is in Sedona, lady. Well, thank you so much, Beth. This was so educational and enlightening, and I'm so honored that you here and passing on your wisdom and knowledge and all of the good stuff that comes with holistic and energy healing. So
Thank you for inviting me, Danielle. It was
thank
great
you.
to be here with you and to pass on hope to people.
Yes, absolutely. And I will be putting all of your links in the show notes. So
Perfect.
if you would like to get a hold of Beth and work with her, please look in the show notes. And following that, thanks for hanging out with us on Fine, I'll Talk About It. If today's episode got you thinking, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want more real talk, more perspective shifts, and more finally someone said it moments, leave a quick review. It helps other people find the show. You can connect with me on Instagram at Inspired Action Wellness or my website, inspiredactionwellness.com, for more inspiration like this. We will see you in the next episode.